What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the October 17th edition of OTN's Level Up Live, your home for the hottest takes in gaming news. My name is John, and I am joined, as always, by the king of the courtside, the courtside king, Joey. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing all right, John. How about you, sir?
Oh, you know, it's a Thursday night, and for some reason they decided to put my Denver Broncos on Thursday Night Football. So I may or may not have the game up on one of my side monitors. Hopefully when we switch to full screen mode, the game is not on and we don't incur a copyright strike or anything like that for streaming protected NFL content. So that's where I'm at, Joey. It's been a week. The real world is no bueno at the workplace as we are doing the thing that the video game industry has been doing for the past couple of years, and that is layoffs. So not fun there. So Joey, I'm hoping you've had a better week than I've had.
Yeah, it's been a busy one. I mean, I did have Columbus Day off for Indigenous Peoples Day. So did start the week on a little bit of a lighter note with a 4-day week going in, but as 4-day weeks are, John, you got to make up the day you weren't there. So it has been plenty busy for both of us. Yeah, more or less. Like, I mean, I'm not going a 5th day, but all that work still has to get done.
Does it?
It does, unfortunately. It definitely does. And I have felt the pressure of that the last couple of days. But as we're easing into Friday, should be a nice weekend ahead. Clear skies, beautiful weather. We'll see what happens. Hopefully plenty of gaming.
Maybe. I know for myself, the gaming fiesta starts next week. I'm pretty sure we'll be talking about that a little bit later on in the show. But Nation, before we tease anything more, make sure you're following the show on social media. That is Twitter or X or whatever Elon is calling it when he's not catching rockets on a tower. Make sure you follow us on Facebook as well at OTN Media. We're on Threads, not TikTok yet. Threads and Instagram OTN_media. I don't think Joey wants us on TikTok. It's fine. And while you're on all those platforms, good news, you can follow us as well. Get our live reactions throughout the week. Joey is at Courtside King on all those platforms. You can find myself at Is This Thing John. We'll have those in the show notes for you below as well to check it out if you listen on our podcast feed. If you are watching with us live on YouTube, what's up? You found the YouTube channel. Hit that sub and subscribe button. Slap that bell. I feel really weird for saying that now. Nonetheless, it's YouTube, and that's what you have to do, right? If you're going to be on YouTube, you have to make weird comments like that. Nation, while the live show on YouTube is the place to be, we also offer the show in that podcast version. Check out the Level Up podcast, available on your podcatcher of choice. Joey, what in the world are we talking about today?
Yeah, guys, we were trying to do notes at the last minute today. It is kind of a lot. I really felt like it was a slower week, but looking at all these quite a bit going on here, I am starting to lag a little bit, so I think I'm going to turn off some of these football games. Uno momento, such as the life of Thursday Night Football. Looking at notes, though, it's very light on the Nintendo side. We do have a little bit of a console announcement. Well, it's not the Switch 2, but we do have a fun little announcement there. PlayStation, there's a concert that has been announced. Other than that, not really too much on the gaming side for Nintendo and PlayStation this week. Lots of Xbox news lots of Xbox stories in the news, rather. They had a few different showcases, a partner preview. They kind of showed off some new games with partners in Southeast Asia. They announced a new mobile game, and I believe it's out today, if I remember correctly. And some other good stuff there. So it will be a little bit of an Xbox heavy week this week. Then we'll go into some good PC stuff with World of Warcraft, which I know John is very excited to talk about. We have some updates on some shows as well. So obviously, I think there's somewhere around 60 to 75 video game shows / movies / certain entertainment productions outside of the gaming medium itself, kind of in development right now. We have some updates on a few of those bigger ones. Again, a lot of that number is still unannounced. We've heard rumors of things in the works, so I think more and more of those will get announced in the months and years to come. With that being said, there's quite a bit in the news, John. Just a preview right there gave us quite a few topics, and that's about half of what we have in today's show. So we're going to try to move as best we can through all the topics, so we're not here for 3 hours. And John can catch the second half of that Denver Broncos game before it gets too late. But yeah, I think we're ready to dive into a lot of good stuff here right after you take us to the drink of choice.
Well, so I have to ask, Joey, did you turn off the Bronco game or did you turn off the Hokie game?
I turned off both games, and then I popped out the YouTube chat. just in case we do have some live listeners in here tonight
Valid.
chilling with us, so we can interact as we go. But I'm sure you'll update me on the Bronco game. Tech was up 14-0, so I'm feeling pretty good about that one at the
Who's
moment.
Tech playing?
Boston College.
Yeah, they haven't been good since like the 90s. Anywho, neither's Tech. So, Joey, we have our topics. It's time for our drink of choice. Your beverage, please, sir.
I'm very boring tonight. I just have water. Okay. But I do feel like I did my fair share of drinking earlier this week when we met up.
Valid. We, you know what? I have it here on my desk. Hold on.
Oh, the Stein.
Yeah, we met up for some adult beverages, and we got these lovely Oktoberfest Steins from Aslan Brewery, aka Joey's unofficial sponsor. Aslan Brewery, please sponsor Joey. Give us free beer. We will drink it on show on air for you as well, because they totally watch. Anywho, Joey, so a lot of thought went into my beverage tonight. I know you're a big Phillies fan. It was heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, just miserable.
This is not going to be some kind of like Philly tears
to like watch the New York Mets beat you guys. It was honestly, I cried on the inside quite a bit. So I am drinking Coke Zero, so there's nothing new there. But Joey, a couple of years ago, I made a pilgrimage to your beautiful city of brotherly love in Philadelphia. So next to Citizens Bank Park, where the Philadelphia Phillies lost to the Mets. Actually, I'm sorry, that was actually in New York. My bad. There's another arena, if you will, called the Wells Fargo Center. So this is the Wells Fargo Center souvenir cup I got from the My Chemical Romance tour for their reunion show. So I picked this. It's in all black and white except for the letters there for two reasons. One, because it's My Chemical Romance and #emo life. And two is because it represents the sadness that is the Philadelphia Phillies and this postseason of baseball. Joey, we have our beverages. I'm not going to let you respond, but we're going to go right into our first section. So I can see you hate me already. It's fine. I understand. Joey, we have our beverages. We have our topics. Let's check out what's going on in the world of Nintendo. Take it away.
I do have to say, though, I love the fact that it's the name of the stadium is what they've chose to color in there.
Right.
It's just like, okay, let's put the big old sponsorship up there in color. Love it.
Of course.
Great times, of course. Nintendo, yes. So we do have something here. It's a brand new console. Again, it's not the Switch 2. We unfortunately are not going to be breaking that announcement. We're not breaking this one either because Tom Warren from The Verge already has. We do have a new image, though. This is Analog's 4K Nintendo 64 launching next year for $249. So my first thought when I saw this, John, oh, Nintendo is on a lawsuit craze. This is going to end well. It does look like it'll be okay, at least from what I'm understanding. And again, I could be wrong on this. It looks like it's a brand new console, but it runs N64 cartridges. So I think this is using the actual original cartridges. And so it would, I believe, fall into line with what Nintendo does allow, because technically it's not an emulator. It's just kind of an upscaler for the original game cartridges themselves.
Yeah, so we can see the blockiness of Kazooie's beak in Banjo-Kazooie in 4K.
Yeah, that's like one of the things I'm wondering. Like, this device looks cool. I really like the sleek design, but is this worth it? Like, is taking those games to 4K really going to make that crazy of a difference?
Absolutely
with
not.
The graphics back then.
The reason... Okay, pop quiz, kiddos, for all of our Gen Z and Gen Alpha listeners. Why was the N64 called N64, Nintendo 64?
Was it 64-bit?
There you go. It's not going to look, the blocks are going to look sharper. The angles on these 3D models are going to look more angly, if you will, right? It's cool, right? The thing I like about this, though, I don't care about the 4K. A lot of the Nintendo 64 components from the original system aren't working anymore, right? These are game systems that came out with RGB plugins, right? So you got to have those 3 prongs that go in the back of your TV. Those prongs don't really exist anymore. So you need to find upscalers, right? You need to find some kind of switch that you plug those 3 prongs into, which convert that signal into a digital signal, which then can go be plugged into your HDMI or your display port or whatever your TV takes. And the problem is the more connectors you have, the more things that can go wrong. So the Nintendo 64 is getting up there in age, as much as that pains me to say, which means I'm also getting up there in age, which I can feel it. But the thing I love about this is going to let you play these games again because the game cartridges are still good, right? Even if you abuse the heck out of them, as long as the chip on the bottom of the cartridge that sticks out, that goes into that slot in the 64 is still working and the prongs are still good, the game will still play. And it's very hard. Like these are N64 cartridges. These are the cartridges that we blew on because we thought that actually did something. I still believe
clean
it
the
did.
dust out, right?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, and all the spittle that goes on, it doesn't cause corrosion or anything. But nonetheless, but this is going to be an easier way for you to play these games now, in current, the current generation, the current 21st century, if you will, without having all of those random wires and cables that are now starting to cost an arm and a leg to get when they go out, because there just isn't demand for it anymore. Because guess what? They don't exist anymore because we have evolved as a society and in technology. So I like this. Second point here real quick. You see that controller on your screen real quick?
Yeah.
It is not the funky butt N64 controller, which back in the day I loved. But now trying to play on my OG Nintendo 64 controller, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Such a weird design, the old Triton.
It's wild. Like, I get what they were going for, but the problem was it completely rendered the D-pad completely useless. And God forbid if you had to use the left bumper button, good luck trying to get your little tiny 7-year-old finger up there to press it. Like, it just made no sense. And nowadays it's just whatever. I like this. I hope Nintendo leaves it alone. I think it's great. I think a lot of people are going to get that nostalgia bug, and they're going to go out and buy it. And plus, for $250, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? It's a little less expensive than the economy tier of the current generation, but at the same time, if you think about it, if you have an N64 that you're constantly playing and those wirings starting to get old, maybe the console's starting to get bad, this is a way that you can upgrade and actually still play those games. I need to do a little more research on it too, because obviously your boy wants to play with the Rumble Pack, which does look like it actually has N64 controller ports in there too. So you may still be able to plug and play. But again,
I would think you can, because it looks like the right prongs and everything.
Yeah. So, maybe a little Rumble Pack action. I'm kind of curious as what they're going to do with the memory card that would go in the back of the controller as well, because onboard memory was not a thing at the time. So obviously there's a lot of questions still. I'm gonna have to go through and read this article too. But again, for $250, to play all these really, really awesome games and not get the reboot version that absolutely destroyed the game. I'm looking at you, GoldenEye. I think you're spot on. I think this is a really, really good deal.
Okay, so the Analog 3D supports Bluetooth, has 4 original controller ports. It sounds like there's an SD card slot on this somewhere. So I'm guessing that is probably going to be your main memory. Created an up bit. Yeah, I think that's it. And that controller we were just looking at without that third prong is $39.99, sold separately.
Of course it's sold separately.
I know, right? Typical. But I guess that makes sense, right? If you have the original plugins for the controllers, technically that would be enough here. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about... I guess I would adapt to it. It's so weird today thinking of a controller with one analog stick, though. That kind of hurts my head a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little wild to think there's only one.
Okay, question for you. When you played Banjo-Kazooie on Xbox recently, does that only utilize one analog stick, or can you use both?
I believe you can use both.
Okay. Now you're thinking about it, huh?
I believe you could use both because one of them solely controlled the camera. Okay. So there was that. I do remember that. And that's the other thing. The camera controls in Banjo-Kazooie were a freaking nightmare.
For real. Especially the originals.
Yes. So...
Same with 007, like GoldenEye. Any of those games, really, because now we have 2 analog sticks, one for moving and one for camera. Yeah. Oh, that was great. And that library level with all the secret walls, that was a fun one.
That was a lot
of fun. DK mode with the big heads. 007 GoldenEye.
Put the code in, you get Jaws, you get
The
those
golden gun, I think, was a code.
those hidden characters, and like you go to like a pyramid or something, or some kind of temple, and it was, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know that
There was a
part.
lot of fun. I mean, and that game caused a lot of friendships to end. I remember a lot of people accusing you of screen peeking back in the day,
Yeah.
that would end up in fist fights because don't look at my part of the screen, which is why screen sharing is still controversial to this day. But nonetheless,
Yeah, screen share. I mean, you and I had a little bit of that just recently playing some college football here. It was like, oh wow, I haven't seen this in a while. I mean, we did a pretty good job, I feel like, not looking at each other's plays and things, but
Mhm.
it was just interesting seeing that all on the same screen. I was like, oh. And then you have the little with, well, at least with football games, I'm sure some of you guys have played these, but where you can change and show like a bluff play versus the real play, and then kind of mind trick each other. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I kind of miss those couch co-op days.
I don't. Not at all.
Wait till we play Cuphead. That might change your mind.
Not happening, my guy. Not
One
happening.
day, it's a dream. The other thing I was going to say, well, it was more secret level based. It still surprises me. I mean, one, we both remember quite a few GoldenEye secrets, but I think it was it Wolfenstein that you were playing recently,
Love Wolfenstein.
and just freaking still remembered all these random secret levels
Yeah,
and how to trigger
yeah.
them. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah, I thought it was funny because like I remember, so Wolfenstein was one of the games I remember I first started watching my dad play back in the day, and I was just fascinated by it. Right, it was one of the very first person shooters, and obviously I enjoy learning about history ever since I was a small kid. So watching that and watching Hitler come out with four freaking machine like Gatling guns on his robotic body was terrifying. But yeah, it was kind of cool. I was playing it and like everything just came back from memory, like all the hidden areas, how to get to the secret level on level 1 of episode 1. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The controls were a little weird. I'm obviously I'm used to more complex controls now, as Bo Nix runs for first down.
Hey.
Okay, don't get sidetracked here, John. But nonetheless, yeah, it is kind of crazy how a game you played in your childhood, like all those years ago, as soon as you play, it's like muscle memory and it comes right back. That game actually came with a paper booklet with maps of all the levels because there's no in-game map mode at the time for a lot of these games. So I remember there's this one level, I think it's on episode 6 of it, but it's literally a map where it's nothing but hidden walls, and you have to go in a certain order because other hidden walls will block other hidden wall paths. And as you go through it, if you go the wrong way, you could possibly end up in a room that has the boss from episode 1 or the boss from episode 3, Hans or Gretel Gross in there, and then you have to fight these 2 bosses before you get to the main boss of that level. Or not of that level, but before you get to the elevator to go to the next level, and there's like tons of treasure, and you had to find all this. I remember seeing my dad's like pencil marks of like all going all over the map trying to figure out where it was, and then I remember he highlighted the path.
Oh, I love that.
I have no clue where that book is now. I don't even know if it still exists, but yeah, it was really cool.
That's so cool. Nostalgia with gaming. You gotta love it.
Right.
The rest of this Nintendo. So again, guys, if you are interested in this new Nintendo 64 4K edition, launches next year. We're looking at pre-orders opening on October 21st. That's just a couple days from now at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Again, price $249.99. With that, I think we'll slide on over to PlayStation. Again, also a shorter section this week. We're talking about the PlayStation concert that was recently announced. It looks like this one is going to kick off over in Europe, featuring music from God of War, The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and Horizon, among others. It's a live music event. We've seen these popping up more and more, John, recently. I think Nier Automata is doing an event as well this touring. I think that one's also coming to Washington, D.C. area. A lot of these kind of like famous soundtracks from video games. We've seen it before with TV shows, with movies. Now kind of making that transition over as games have become more and more prominent within the entertainment industry. This one, the global tour, is going to launch with a world premiere on April 19th, 2025 in Dublin, Ireland, before heading to more than 200 cities across Europe. So this will be a very well-traveled show. Literally just about anywhere you can think of as far as major cities and countries throughout Europe. I'm not going to list off all 200 locations. You guys are more than welcome to look those up. And then eventually this should be making its way over to other countries as well. I'd imagine this takes a tour in Asia, it takes a tour in North America, probably South America too. Antarctica, I can't quite promise, but with 200 locations in Europe, you just never quite know.
Antarctica's not in Europe, dude.
No, well, I mean, if they're going to invest the money, you know what I meant. Don't even with me. Of course, I know.
I was about to be like, typical American. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. Well, might as well go to the North Pole as well while they're at it. I heard Santa likes him some PlayStation. But yeah, I think this is cool. I like this. If this comes to our area, I would definitely consider going to this for sure. And I hope it does eventually make its way somewhere like, I would guess Washington, D.C. would probably be a good location. Philly could be another one near us that it could come to as well. Oh, there's an early access code, guys. Here, ping for those who want to buy tickets. Play Concert 24 is going to be that early access code, which will be usable 7 a.m. Pacific time yesterday. So I don't know if that'll get early access anymore. Sorry about that. But that did just occur. I don't know how long that early access lasts, but it did open yesterday on Wednesday. Okay, that's all I got for PlayStation. It was a little bit of a lighter week. Again, we should see some more and more stuff from them as it kind of ticks down here. They did have a little showcase last month, but we haven't really seen too much of new reveals from PlayStation. Again, a quieter year for them overall. Some big heavy hitters, though. They did have Astrobot this year. They had Helldivers 2. They've also had some not so great games. Until Dawn did not do super well. And Conquered obviously had its server shut down already. So a little bit of some very high highs and some very low lows for PlayStation so far this year. Over to Xbox, we have some new Game Pass additions to chat about. A couple on here. Most of these are not really full-on new additions. Some of these are just cloud games. So you have Modern Warfare 3 making its way to cloud, Call of Duty Warzone also making its way to cloud servers. The big one here, obviously, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. This is kind of that culmination of one of the big reasons that Microsoft went out and acquired Activision Blizzard. They wanted that Call of Duty franchise alongside the different mobile support that something like King and Candy Crush bring to the table. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 making its debut here on Game Pass day one at launch for console, PC, and cloud. Now, again, these tiers are a little confusing. This will be on the main PC tier, which is just a straight up one option for PC, as well as the ultimate tier, which is kind of your all-encompassing. This includes like your console Xbox Live, your console Game Pass, and your PC Game Pass. Those are the two tiers it is on. If you are on the core tier or the standard tier for consoles, Black Ops 6 is not included. So just Ultimate and PC for launch. A couple other games on here. We have Ashen, really cool little indie game. Donut County, I believe, was on here before. I 100% did that one, in fact. It's pretty fun. We have South Park and the Fractured Hole, I believe, or the Fractured
Butthole.
Aha, yes, that's correct. Mech Warrior 5 Clans, Dead Island 2, and then StarCraft also making its way over here to Game Pass, which will hopefully bring a nice little boost to that community with some new players who've never experienced the awesome world of StarCraft before.
So as someone who has completed South Park, the Fractured Butthole game, absolutely hilarious. Absolutely freaking hilarious. If you like South Park, you're going to love the South Park game. It's freaking hysterical. But here's what I want to do for you console nerds out there, for you console jockeys who don't own a PC that can run a video game that was popular in the late 90s and 2000s. Let me go ahead and challenge you real quick. Go ahead and dust off your daddy's old keyboard and grab yourself a mouse and plug her in into your Xbox and play StarCraft. I'm being serious. Play it on the controller if you have to. But plug in a keyboard and a mouse, and just you don't have to play online. You don't have to be competitive. You don't have to be the next StarCraft esport legend. All you have to do is just play the campaign mode. If you want to see peak Blizzard writing, storytelling, creating unique and in-depth worlds that are very complicated, that will make you struggle to pick sides, that 1 minute you're like, oh, the Zergs are the bad guy, and then like you learn the story of the Zergs and you're like, oh, are they really that bad? And then you're like, oh, I want to play as the Terrans because I'm a human and Terrans are humans. And then it's like, oh, Terrans are kind of bad guys. And then you play as the Protoss. You're like, okay, well, the Protoss look OP. They have shields, or they move fast. They do X, Y, and Z. oh, they lost their homeland. Like there's all this bad things, going on with the Protoss. Like they're hopeless. And then all of a sudden, like you discover what's really going on with the Protoss and like how they've been exiled and all this other stuff. And like you start to fall in love with either the Protoss or the Terran or the Zerg. And you get involved so in depth with their story. And then after you get done with StarCraft, you go to StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 was a beautiful symphony put together. You had a Terran campaign, you had a Zerg campaign, and it wrapped up with the Protoss campaign. And all the stories are intertwined. You have to go in order, and there's in-game levels that you can unlock as well. It's such a masterfully crafted game, and the stories are so unique, and the graphic boost from StarCraft to StarCraft 2. Holy cow! There's a reason why a lot of millennial gamers out there love StarCraft. It's a game that they hold close to their heart. If you're here on YouTube, you would see Joey put down hashtag Protoss supremacy. The Protoss are the race in the game that I identify the most with as well.
Must construct additional pylons.
Yeah. There's gonna be lines that terrify you and cause you PTSD the rest of your life. But nonetheless, like it's such a good game. And in an era of multiplayer online games, I feel like the idea of solo mode, solo campaign mode is really getting lost because the stories are just not that good. I'm looking at you, Call of Duty, with your 37-minute campaign gameplay. If you have the chance, play through the games and experience StarCraft. That's the only thing I'm going to ask of you this entire podcast is play StarCraft, use a mouse and keyboard. It's going to be easier, trust me. But if you have to use a controller, do that. But just play it and enjoy the incredible writing and game design that Blizzard created.
And just to follow up on John's StarCraft request, these come out November 5th. It's going to be Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass for this. StarCraft Remastered will be the edition for the original StarCraft on PC, and then StarCraft 2, the campaign collection. So as John was saying, that includes all of those campaigns. You're looking at Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, and Legacy of the Void, in addition to Nova Covert Ops. So that includes all of your campaigns for those different three races, the Terran, the Protoss, and the Zerg. It's quite a lengthy campaign, right, John? Adding all three of these together, if I remember correctly. Like, there's quite a bit of content there.
For StarCraft?
Yeah.
Yeah, StarCraft 2, each campaign is probably going to take you close to about 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Somewhere around 15 to 20 or so.
Look, again, StarCraft is up there with Metal Gear Solid. Like, these are games that really incorporated cutscenes and incorporated storytelling
Blizzard
through
cutscenes.
2, 3, 4, 5-minute long videos that will start with you completing a mission or end with you completing a mission and just dive in depth into the story that gameplay just wouldn't be able to recreate. So, if you're a World of Warcraft fan, you're used to these cutscenes, these promo videos, these expansion videos that Blizzard puts out. You know exactly what you're expecting here. But for those who may not be in the Blizzard universe when it comes to their storytelling or their multimedia that they put out for their games as supplements to the games, it truly is second to none. They do an incredible job at Blizzard, and if you want to see why World of Warcraft has some of the best animations for expansions, for promos, for in-game videos anywhere in the world, look at StarCraft, because that's where it really started.
Agreed. Really good stuff there. So if you guys want to check those out, again, coming in November. It's a nice selection here, though. I feel like the second wave of October is quite good. You have some great indies in South Park, Donut County. I always want to say country. Mech Warrior 5. You also have Ashen, some really good indies again. Dead Island 2 is kind of a heavy hitter there. Obviously, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. You start to get that promise of Activision games. This is a new one coming at launch, in addition to StarCraft. Those older campaign titles kind of making their way in here as well. So really good stuff overall here for this additional second wave. However, with every new wave, there are games that do end up leaving October 31st. You can grab these now for 20% off. We have Frog Detective, The Entire Mystery, Headbangers, Il Culinati, Lonely Mountains Downhill, and Mineko's Night Market. Mineko's I still need to finish. We'll see if I can finish before, or if I need to purchase that one to finish for my 100%. But for now, those are the 5 games leaving, and these are the many games coming to the service later this month into early November. Next up is the Xbox Partner Preview. Again, for the sake of time, we're not going to go through every single game with these showcases, but you can definitely find them online. We'll play some trailers for you here as we go through them. But overall, a nice little selection here. A lot of people rating the showcase right around a B+ range. They hit on quite a few different genres, quite a few different developers of sizes, big and small. So lots of good stuff in here. They kicked it off with an Alan Wake 2, The Lake House. This is the new expansion coming for Alan Wake 2, one of the runners-up for Game of the Year last year. We got a nice look at this new spooky-looking gameplay here with the Lake House. It's been one of the themes of the show. It was a little bit more horror-themed. Obviously, us being in Halloween-y, spooky town with October right here in the middle of the month. There has been a little bit more of that in these recent showcases over the industry. So if you guys are into some nice little creepy stuff and want a look at that Alan Wake expansion, you can do so there. Alan Wake 2 expansion, The Lake House. We also got Animal Well. This has been a game doing extremely well on Steam from Donkey. It is finally making its way over here to console. I don't know if this is its first land on console or if this is just Xbox, but I know it's been doing some crazy numbers on Steam. So a cool little innovative game there coming from Donkey, making its way over. Blind Fire is a new first-person shooter set entirely in the dark, and that one will be available in game preview today as well, coming to Xbox Series X, Windows PC. Chronos: The New Dawn, a mind-bending survival horror from Blooper. Blooper is the one who did The Medium, if you guys followed that a couple years back. A new game from the anime side of things with Eden Zero, bringing some anime action to Xbox. And I believe this was a first announcement, something you don't typically see on Xbox consoles. So it is nice to see them kind of getting some of these new anime reveals making their way over, so on and so forth. But one game I do want to touch on, John, and we can kind of sit on this one for a minute. FBC Firebreak. This is a co-op Control spinoff. Control was the winner, I think, of pretty much, it wasn't a full-on sweep, but it won most of the Game of the Year awards in 2019. This is kind of a multiplayer. They say multiplayer, but really it's a co-op spinoff. It kind of looks like, I don't know if I call it an extraction game, but a little bit more of that PvE kind of showdown that we have in the single-player Control, but this one being a little bit more gun-focused. And I want to say it was first-person, if I remember correctly from the trailer. We will play it here again. I loved Control. I think the world is fascinating. It's a little bit of an acid trip going through that game, and it definitely trends toward thriller at certain aspects of it as well. But I think this game is going to be a ton of fun to jump in with friends. We have seen a number of like PvE extraction shooters here and there. We've seen a number of like PvE kind of survival games. Like I know that Rainbow Six one tried to push itself. It might have been called Rainbow Six Extraction, if I remember correctly. But I do think this one is going to do quite well. Again, the universe itself is just so well designed that they kind of have a very nice baseline of where to base this game in. And I think with the right tweaks, this could be a lot of fun to play with multiple people. I'm curious if they bring any of the kind of abilities you have in the single player into this, or if it will be more melee and kind of gun focused with maybe a little bit of that ability in some ways. I just don't know how that's all going to come together. At least in the trailer, it looks like some of the guns are very creative. It looks like there's some gravity elements involved. Definitely some explosive elements, some supernatural elements. I think this game looks like a lot of fun, and I think picking this up with 2 other friends is going to be quite the joy to play, as well as maybe a little jump scaring here and there as well. John, you didn't play Control, did you? Did you ever play the single player of that one?
I did not know.
Okay, that's one we got to get on your list because that would be fun to watch you play through. It's just, some of this stuff is just super trippy, but it's just really cool to experience. The Legend of Babu. This is a brutal action adventure with an adorable dog. Let's play this trailer here for a second. This dog looks so fluffy, and I hope you can pet this dog because I really wanted to pet this dog throughout this trailer. You're in a magical world. I don't think we know the name of the world, but we do know the name of the child hero, and that's Sephir. Into the fray with only their wits, weapons, and an absolutely gorgeous dog called Babu to protect them. This game looks kind of fun to me. It kind of has that almost that the kind of Chinese appeal to it in certain aspects. It kind of hits into like that feudal area, dynasties, like Ming Dynasty-ish, like with some of the architecture, I feel like, as well as some of the way some of the enemy designs play out, the combat as well. I think this game could be fun. I don't know if it'll be the greatest game out there, but being a companion with a big fluffy dog just kind of brings a smile to my face. And apparently John's too. Like
Joey
a
just cares
Dragon.
about the dog in this game, nothing else.
I
It's
do
just
like the dog. I don't even know what the story is about. There's some cool little climbing mechanics you guys see here in the trailer. But hanging out with a big old floofy dog, I think is just right down my alley. That's why I hang out with John too. He's nice. He's nice.
Yeah,
Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza. John, okay. This Yakuza games, I really enjoyed like Yakuza 0. That's the only one I've played. But these have gone so wildly out there that I'm just lost with some of these games at this point. The last one was like Sims Hawaii. Now this one, he's a pirate guy. I mean, we're talking like this big Japanese Yakuza bouncer like guy. And he's now apparently on a pirate ship in Hawaii. I don't even know what to think of this franchise at this point. I mean, I guess they're selling decently well with these weird spinoffs because they keep putting them out now.
Joey, these are the same people that buy Goat Simulator 4, that play Farming Simulator, that have not touched grass in a bajillion years. This franchise has gotten so weird. It honestly looks like a Sea of Thieves knockoff in that UI part of the video.
Right. It's like that meets like Assassin's Creed Black Flag or whatever the pirate one was.
And and then there's Neon from Starfield.
It's just super, like, I just don't even understand. Like, how do we go from Japan to a random pirate ship in Hawaii? I'm lost. But yeah, Yakuza is definitely getting trippier and trippier here now that it has left the Isles. And yeah, I just don't know what to think of this game. Oh my gosh, this fight on the ship is wild. Yeah. Yakuza, guys. If you guys want to check that out, there's now a pirate edition happening around Hawaii. Mistfall Hunter, another cool looking Souls-like combat and extraction action mechanics involved in that one. You'll be showing off a wealth of approaches from beefy warriors to spell-packed mages. This will pit you against monsters and men in a mysterious new fantasy world, coming to Xbox Series X and Windows PC. I don't know if this one's coming to PlayStation as well. They don't list it, obviously, on the Xbox site, but I feel like it probably is coming to PlayStation as well. There will be an upcoming closed beta very soon, too. The next one, John, I really want to touch on, Mouse PI for Hire. This is bringing cartoon chaos to the Xbox, as they describe it here. It's kind of like the old Mickey Mouse animation, maybe not Steamboat Willie, a little bit later than that, blending that with old school FPS gameplay. So old looking cartoon design with old FPS gameplay seems to be coupled for really cool things for me. It's kind of noir inspired. You have a little bit of jazz infusion with the music. Some of the weapons look really creative. I think this game is going to be very well done. The gunplay looks pretty good so far. The story looks intriguing, but it still has that like goofy charm that some of those old cartoons have as well, but just throwing a gun into it. It kind of gives me a little bit of that Pal World versus Pokemon vibes in the sense that you have this nice little friendly thing like Mickey Mouse and you just throw a gun into its hand and completely change the way the story plays out. That's kind of a similar vibe I get here. And some of the traversal mechanics are interesting with hooks. Again, the gun variety, from shotguns to machine guns to cameras to other goofy things going on as you play detective across this landscape in this black and white 2D world. I'm stoked for this.
This looks ridiculous.
You have to admit this looks good.
This looks ridiculous.
But it looks great, no? I think it's brilliant. It's just so good.
I don't...
Not a fan of Mouse PI for Hire coming 2025 to the Xbox console.
Joey, you like some weird games, man.
I do. I do really like some weird games. I'm all about the indie life.
This does not look like it's an indie game.
No, this is an indie game. This is definitely an indie game. Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I don't remember the developer, actually. I should probably have looked that up.
Fumi
it's right there.
Games.
Fumi Games, yep. Yeah, little small indie developer. Really cool art style, cool music, cool.
Backed by
gunplay.
Microsoft.
It is probably got some nice Microsoft funding. I don't remember if it says Game Pass, but if it says Game Pass, then it's definitely got some good funding. We'll have to keep an eye out for that one. Phasmophobia is also making its way to consoles. For those who like to wet themselves in the middle of games, this is now an option on console. Xbox debut will be October 29th. This one has been doing numbers, I know, on Steam. I think it's on Epic Game Store as well. Don't quote me on that. But it's definitely been doing quite well on PC. I want to say it might be on PlayStation already as well. Now eventually making its way over to Xbox. John, I don't know if you've played this one. I have not. I know some of the guys on the OTN Discord server have quite a bit. It is definitely a little past my creepy meter.
I have not played it, no.
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll be hunting ghosts on console with you guys, but if you want to, it's now available, or it will be very soon, rather, in a little over 10 days. Subnautica 2. This one looks gorgeous. Subnautica obviously doing some numbers when it was released, a huge big release. Subnautica 2 kind of taking that up a notch, especially graphically, with some very nice, beautiful underwater graphics in this survival crafting game. That again, Subnautica itself won a number of awards when it initially came out. This one is going to get an early access release on Xbox consoles and Windows PC through the game preview program for those signed up for that. And this was a world premiere trailer that came out today, previewing this game set to come out in 2025. John, I've always liked, I don't know if it's just me, I'm a sucker for underwater stuff. I like underwater games. I like underwater levels, except for those dang ones in those old classic Mario games. Those were a little bit of hella annoying. But generally speaking, I enjoy a good underwater level as long as I can control my breathing. This one, you have a suit with you, so that makes it much easier. And I think I like the idea of diving into Subnautica 2. You guys need to watch the live show, because most of tonight has just been John giving me some good old goofy smiles.
I just don't see why some of these games get you excited, but it's fine. To each their own. I'm not judging too much.
Their own, indeed. Last but not least, last one I'll touch on here: Wulong Fallen Feathers. This was kind of one of the big story ones coming into this game, one of the bigger advertised ones.
What was the name of this game?
This is Wu Chang Fallen Feathers.
Not Wulong.
Oh, is that what I said? Whoopsies. Sorry, there's like a Wukong, and then there's a Wulong. This one's Wu Chang. Got to get my woos together. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers here. It was revealed again earlier this year, now initially, or shown again rather, in this partner showcase. We got a new look at it, offering hints of dark fantasy storylines in the late Ming Dynasty. The new trailer showed us a lot of action, including that against bosses, some big old tall, very horrifying looking bosses. We had a centipede monster included, a woman who can transform in what to appears to be a living scarf made from the skin of an Arctic fox. Absolutely something I will not be going near. But hey, for those who like Souls-like games, I don't know if this is going to be Souls-like. It definitely has that feel with some of the look of the bosses, but with the way some of these Chinese games go, it could be a little bit more toward that Dynasty Warrior edge, where it is more combat heavy and more flashy in combat rather than that Souls-like approach. So we'll probably get a little better idea of this as we get a little bit more gameplay closer to launch. But I know this is one quite a few people are excited about, especially a lot of the Eastern gamers as well. Yeah, I think that about does it for the partner preview, John. We can play a quick little clip here of these homegrown games from Southeast Asia that they're showing. We're obviously not going to work through all of these guys, but there was a conference in Southeast Asia this past week. Xbox got together with a lot of their partners. They put out a little bit of a preview teaser of some of the many games being worked on over there. I think it's something 100-something projects currently in the works between Xbox and Southeast Asian developers. It's an area that Xbox has been trying to invest more and more in that particular region. So now kind of seeing the fruit of that investment, showing off some of these partnerships, obviously some big marketing deals for stuff like Persona. This year, we've seen Yakuza with some partnership deals and has made its way to Game Pass for an elongated amount of time now. The 2 Point Campus stuff with Sega just kind of shows those growing relationships between Xbox and that region. We're seeing other games that have never landed on Xbox consoles finally making their ways from Eastern developers and publishers to the platform as well. This is going to be a little bit more of this. This is a look at mostly indie games over here, some popular already on PC or PlayStation, some completely new announced games coming later on, either this year or next year. But a very good variety, some really cool art styles here in this teaser. Again, I know I'm excited for a wide range of indie games. No, not going to say all of these will excite all of you, but I do like a lot of the variety at least being shown. And I think someone can find at least 1 or 2 games within this that they would probably be interested in. Good stuff there. Yeah, I love indie games, man. I'm a big fan. This next one, John, I'm very curious to get your thoughts on. So Age of Empires Mobile. I want to say this has already been released in China and is doing extremely well, but don't quote me on that. I want to say it released early on in the summer. Regardless, it is now getting a full global release here coming soon. We have a trailer for Age of Empires Mobile.
It is currently out. I'm just
curious what it is currently out.
Yeah, I got the download notification last night.
Oh, sweet. Is this how it's globally at this point, right?
Probably, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I'll have to look it up here while we're talking if it came out in China already. But the other thing, I'm curious to get your thoughts, and obviously you haven't played it yet since it just downloaded. But what are your thoughts on playing an RTS game on mobile? That kind of makes my head hurt a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, no, I played it last night when it got pushed.
Oh, you've already played it. Okay.
Yeah. It's weird. Just for S&Gs here real quick. Let me go ahead and just give her a little launchy right there on the good old cellular device.
Okay.
It looks good. Graphically, I mean, it definitely looks like a mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
Moving is fairly easy to do. They've really simplified a lot of things. It's not very. If you're going to go into this and think this is going to be like Age of Empires from your PC gaming days, it's not. This is a lot more streamlined. It's definitely more of a mobile game, for sure. If you think about some of the other stuff, like, see, here's your opening level.
Oh, okay.
And then to move, you literally just click and drag a line, and then
I kind of like that mechanic. That's not as bad as I was expecting.
Click and drag again, and your guys move again. So you go live on my cell phone here. But yeah, you pretty much there. You set the waypoint. They get there, and you keep going. That's all you do.
Do you know if there's a way to hotkey troops? So like if I wanted my archers in one group and my cavalry in another group, is that an option?
I'm honest with you, I haven't gotten that far, and then they even have cutscenes and whatnot.
Ooh.
As my fantasy football team gets notifications.
Hey.
Yeah, so I got cool little cutscenes. Cutscenes look great, especially for a mobile game.
Yeah, this looks pretty solid.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they've done a good job. Yeah, I put it as a preload. Got the notification that I downloaded last night around 11 p.m. And yeah, I played it a little bit. It's very interesting. It's definitely streamlined. It definitely is streamlined. So there is that.
I feel like you have to some degree. Like if they had all the complexity, I mean, literally a keyboard has what 100 something keys on my keyboard here. Maybe not that high, but it's definitely quite a few keys.
I don't know what kind of keyboard you have there, my guy.
Okay, I know. I'm not going to count this sucker, but it's got to be like what 60, 70 keys, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 times. Yeah, this has got to be a high number of keys. I am not about to count my whole keyboard right now. For those who want to know how many keys are on my keyboard, maybe we'll post it on Discord later when I have time to count it. But for now, I'm just curious to see one game length, John. When you eventually play like a full game, I'm curious to hear what the game length would be. Because that's the one thing with mobile games. I feel like something that graphically intensive and that action focused, I guess, since you're doing so many different actions on the screen, kind of will wear down the battery a little bit quicker. In a regular Age of Empires game takes what? I would say 45 minutes to an hour on average.
88 keys on my 10 keyless. So add the other 10 that puts it at 98.
Okay, so I'm pretty darn close.
Less than 100. Price is right, baby. You went over. You blew it.
Okay, but I have extra keys on mine.
No keys. I don't care about your gaming button. I don't care about your color changing button. I don't care about your play, pause, stop, rewind, fast forward. No, absolutely not. I'm talking your typical keys you find on any $12 Amazon basic keyboard.
Okay, that's not fair. I'm not using an Amazon basic.
Neither
keyboard.
am I. I'm using a 10 keyless G Pro. Here, unplugs.
3,
here you go.
4, 6, 7.
That's what your boy's using.
Wow.
Yeah. It needs to be clean. Don't judge me. Let me plug it back in here real quick.
Yeah, I'm definitely over 100 keys. See, take this, son.
You're not over 100 keys.
Okay, we're going to play Count the Keyboard after the show for those who want to stick around. But for now, let's talk Indiana Jones. Insider Gaming has learned that Indiana Jones, and also OTN has learned. There's a few people I've heard from on the early previews. You did not hear that here, but they are saying it's pretty good from what I've heard. Again, just a couple people have reached out. But we'll hear a full review, I believe, at the end of the month is when that embargo is going to lift. I want to say I've heard the 29th, if I remember correctly. But there's been a couple hands-on previews. So this first one was, I believe it was in Microsoft's headquarters in Seattle, up in the western side of the US. The other one is going to be held in London over in Europe. And I don't know if there's going to be one in Asia. Not 100% sure. It could have been at that recent Asian Developer Day. but again, don't quote me on that one. I do know of these 2 locations for now. Things have been sounding pretty good. This game is still set to launch December 9th for the Xbox and PC. And then a little bit later in early 2025, I've heard April 2025 for PlayStation 5. Overall, I think the game looks good. I know, John, one of the things when we saw the last showcase, we complimented, one, the whip mechanics have gotten cleaned up. I know that was never a concern of yours, so that was more me complimenting the addressing of the issue there. But I think also from the little cutscene we got, the humor is also right in line with what we've seen from previous Indiana Jones movies. So I think they probably nailed that as well.
Joey, I'm dubbing this Whipgate.
Whipgate.
First it was...
That's the name of the podcast too, guys. The episode name.
There you go. First off, it's oh, I don't like the camera view. Whipping in first person looks weird, even though we live life in the first person. If you use the whip in the first person in your real life, it doesn't look weird, right? But in a video game, I don't like it. It looks weird. The whip mechanics look stupid. The blades of grass look like they're pixelated Zelda crap from Game Boy from back in the day. The Halo and pixelated grass and alpha releases and just blah blah blah. Shut up and enjoy the damn game. That's all I'm gonna say. I am glad your early leaks have come out and said it's looking good. I really hope every single the whip mechanics, the first person. You know what? I hope your saved game file gets corrupted when you play this game. I hope you have to send in your console to get it fixed, and when they fix it, they wipe your hard drive. You insignificant little nerds, stop complaining and play the damn game.
Yeah, it is going to be one of those things. I mean, I think part of it, and I could be wrong on this, but a lot of these kind of adventure games we've seen in this genre, like Uncharted, like Tomb Raider, they have been third person. So I'm thinking a lot of the crowd that is excited about a game like this is those players who played Uncharted, is those players who played Tomb Raider, and they're coming from this, I expect this as a third-person game perspective, versus maybe being as open to something different, something first person here. It is trippy to me. I prefer these games in third person. With that being said, the idea of kind of solving some of these big puzzles with potentially boulders and poison darts and some of the stuff we see from Indiana Jones as a franchise, I think being in first person for that makes it so much more interesting. If I have to like change this puzzle dial, but also like scan to the right or scan to the left, watch where I'm stepping so that I don't step on that tile that has that boulder start rolling toward me. I just think it adds some different mechanics to it that we really haven't seen in this genre. And I like the fact that they're going out with that. At the same point, this is the same team that designed Wolfenstein. When we look at Wolfenstein, the bread and butter is first person in a lot of those games. So I think bringing that expertise to the table, one, lets the team do something they're already comfortable with, while also optimizing and changing up a genre we've seen before in the industry through this new first person perspective. So I like a lot of things going on with this game. Now, I know, and I will confess this, and John, I believe you're the same boat. I am not the biggest Indiana Jones fan. I've enjoyed a movie here and there. I think Harrison Ford is good as the character, but I cannot tell you much about the lore of Indiana Jones and everything going on there. It is not the first movie I rush out to go see. I know some of the recent ones haven't done as well either. With that being said, the game itself excites me. I love the idea of a Tomb Raider-like game, and I think this is going to fall into that genre for me. And again, I like the way they're changing their perspective to that first person, even with me being a little bit hesitant up front.
Yeah, it's 2024 and we're still fighting Nazis in video games. Oh, wait. Charlottesville is down the street. Never mind.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's... I'm okay. The movies feel so repetitive, in all honesty. It's, oh, we're going after a piece of, like, art. Oh, we're going after the Holy Grail. Oh, we're going after something. Oh, no, a boulder's chasing me. Oh, no, poisonous snakes. Oh, no, a dead guy. I'm not going to say it's overdone like a battle royale or zombies or anything like that. But, I mean, my issue with Indiana Jones has always been it's just repetitive. Mm-hmm. And these video games are cool, right? Because, you get to live out some of these moments that you get to see Harrison Ford do on the silver screen. So, like, I don't know. My issue is, like, and I think I speak on behalf of gamers who are not that interested in playing this game. If the story doesn't speak to you, if you can't find a connection to this game, it just looks like any other video game in this genre that has come out in the last 20 years. It's okay. You're fighting Nazis. Cool. Great. We don't like Nazis. You shouldn't like Nazis. Nazis are bad. We're going after a piece of art from history, or we're going after some kind of legend of treasure or something. And oh no, you know, Gruber McGee over here with the Nazis are also going with it. Who would have guessed, right? And then there's a little bit of like the occult. There's a little bit of like sci-fi wrapped into it. You know, you go to a different dimension, you find a time machine or whatever. Like the last Indiana Jones was kind of cool, right? Because you went back in time a little bit. You got to see all these historical events. I mean, that's kind of cool, but like you've done that before. And I don't know, like that's my thing. It's like I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to connect with this game in any way, and it's an easy pass. I think it's a very easy pass for some people because of that connection. And then I think the people that are passing on it because of the camera angle or the whip mechanics, I think that's just stupid. Find another reason to hate this game, but other than that, it's like I don't know, like it's easier for me to take a gamble on a game if it's Star Wars, right? Because obviously I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm very invested in the Star Wars universe. I may be iffy on a game, but there's a good chance I'm going to take a gamble on it. Now, did I bite on Outlaws? No. And that may be one of the first Star Wars games I did not bite on in a very, very, very long time. Joey, you know how it is for me to play mobile games. What's the one mobile game I'm still playing right now?
Are you still playing it?
Yeah, Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Like, I'm still playing it. So, yeah, I think that's the issue it's going to have. I know Indiana Jones is a beloved title for a lot of people, so I think it's still going to sell well. And I'm happy to hear the early reviews that have leaked are doing well. The people who have early access are not the people that the production team is worried about. It's going to be your average gamer that's got 14 Reddit accounts to make themselves look good and upvote their own comments over and over and over. That's the people that you need to look out for.
There you go. So if you guys want to check that out, we should have previews hopefully a little bit later this month. Again, I want to say it's the 29th is that I heard as far as that embargo date on those previews. Call of Duty 2025, just a quick little update here. Tom Henderson from Insider Gaming has come out with a little bit of an update as far as what we can expect with that. Currently under the code name of Saturn, Insider Gaming has learned from multiple sources that Call of Duty 25 is set to take players back to the future. They go a little bit more in depth of what that means here. They understand that Call of Duty 25 is currently in development as a direct sequel to Call of Duty Black Ops 2, being set around 2030. Black Ops 2 is set in 2025. As such, there should be some returns of fan favorite protagonists, villains, and so on and so forth from that Black Ops franchise, as well as some remastered maps and such. If you guys want to learn more, insider-gaming.com is the place to go for that. But overall, John, I've always been hesitant when Call of Duty takes the futuristic path. I feel like a lot of those games have fell flat for me. I like the idea of futuristic kind of military combat. I just don't feel like it's been delivered super well in a Call of Duty game. So I'm a little bit hesitant with this one here in 2025, especially following what looks to be a pretty good launch here with Black Ops 6 later this month.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the futuristic stuff in Call of Duty, they have done a pretty bad job at. But then again, I also think that this title has gone downhill for mainly the past 15 years. You may get a gem every now and then. But for a game that's pumping out a new game every year and a half, 2 years at the most, it's really gone the way of EA Sports. It really has. It's nothing too new. Everything looks the same. It's just maybe a different skin. Maybe it's a different bad guy, but the character models look identical. I don't know. The stories aren't original. Like, where are the days of like, and again, it's a controversial take, but where are the days of having like controversial levels like no Russian? Like that was a big thing. That got the world talking. But at the end of the day, what was Call of Duty really good at when it first came out? Call of Duty was one of the premier World War II games out there. It was incredible. I'll never forget. Story time. I will never forget playing Call of Duty 2. I believe was the one where you stormed the beaches of Normandy.
Oh, yeah.
My dad's boss at the time was a World War II vet who was there at Normandy. He watched his grandson play that game and had to turn away because he said it reminded him too much of what happened and it was too realistic. Now, again, like that was like early 2000s gameplay and graphics and whatnot. But, you know, that's the kind of power these games used to have. Like they were telling stories. They were letting you experience history in a new way, in one of the most worldly changing wars that humanity has ever had. And they had something good, right? Obviously they weren't going to stick to World War II forever, but they had a good formula. And then all of a sudden they were just like, you know what would be better than World War II stuff? You know what would be better than maybe Gulf War, Vietnam War, Korean War, you know, things like that. You know what would be even better than that? Make-believe cyber war with aliens in outer space. And you're just like, I mean, they've completely lost touch with what they are. They hopped on board the multiplayer online-only gaming train. They incorporated the Fortnite policy of, oh, we'll make our online multiplayer Warzone free, but we're going to have microtransactions out the yin-yang and make bajillions of dollars. Why? Because we're all consumer whores. It's as simple as that. And, you know, we can justify spending $5 here, $5 there, $2.99 here, and oh my gosh, that $70 skin's on sale for $30. So you're going to spend $30 on a skin that does absolutely nothing for you in game. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at when it comes to Call of Duty, is for a franchise that started out incredibly strong, that really helped define this style of gameplay. I feel like anytime they venture into outer space or sci-fi territory, they completely flop, and they flop hard.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I think it's a dangerous path to tread, at least based on what we've seen historically from the franchise in that area. Now, again, I think there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with futuristic, and I don't want these military shooters to feel like they can't touch on that area, because I do think there is room for creativity. It's just in the past, we've not seen it really executed on extremely well. So it's one of those things that I think they just have to tread a little carefully. I'm curious to see what they do end up going with there overall when we do eventually make it there. With that said, John, I think we can touch on Call of Duty 2025 as we head into 2025 as more information comes out. For now, let's head over to the PC section and chat a little bit about World of Warcraft. We have the 20th anniversary, lots of rewards, activities, and beyond.
Oh, is this my time?
It is your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the 20th anniversary, my God, I'm getting old, is coming up next week. And Joey, I'm stoked. The amount of stuff they're giving us as players of Azeroth, absolutely nutty. They're bringing a raid back from classic WoW, Blackrock Depths. A quick little patch update here, note on your screen right now. Celebration hub at the Cavern of Times, which looks incredible. Classic time walking dungeons. The Dead Mines is coming back. One of my favorite freaking dungeons of vanilla WoW. It was so freaking good. I just really hope it was the OG version and not the revamped version. It was known to be one of the longer, if not longest, dungeons out there, but it was such an incredible and unique dungeon. You have some PvP, so you have like Alterac Valley. What was Alterac Valleys before that? It was Korak's Revenge. So it was a troll graveyard. There's so much lore that they kind of overwrote as the universe continued to expand. Chromie's Codex. You're going to be going back through time with Chromie and having to fight off villains that aren't supposed to be in Chromie's timeline, like Kel'Thuzad, or some other classic raid bosses from back in the day that will randomly show up. That sounds really cool. New world bosses, right? They're bringing world bosses back in the area of the Cavern of Times that you'll be able to fight, like the Shaw of Anger. You'll have, I think Ragnaros is one of them, but it'll show in later in the video too. But like rewards, tier 2 sets. Tier 2 is one of the best tier sets to ever have been released. We're talking like the classic Paladin armor set, which we'll see later on as well. Rewards for new and returning players, class upgrades. Joey, I kid you not, if a new player was to log into World of Warcraft to level a brand new toon at level 1 to get to the cap level right now. Right now, on average, it would take you maybe 4 hours of gameplay to go from 1 to level cap. With all the XP boosts that they're putting in the 20th anniversary, you are going to be dinging at least 4 to 7 times every dungeon you play if you choose to go that route. We're talking, and it'll be towards the end of the video too. I'm going to start playing it again. Close to like a 60% XP boost as you're going through this game. It's absolutely wild. So this is what the Cavern of Time Celebration Hub is going to look like. It looks absolutely incredible. It's like a county fair, if you will, and each week is going to be a different theme based upon a different continent on Azeroth. So one week you're going to have all the elves and the Eastern Kingdoms on there. Then you're going to have Duratar. You're going to have orcs. You're going to have trolls. You're going to have you're going to get Northrend. You're going to get the undead. And then you'll have like Pandaria and you get all the damn pandas, right? You'll be able to wear costumes to look like one of your favorite characters. They even put a freaking ice rink in here. So there's a lot of cool things. There's a lot of events there to get in-game currency to unlock a lot of these tier sets and a lot of these prizes and rewards and everything. All you have to do is just play this really cool remastered content. You get a mid-patch raid. This almost never happens in Blizzard and World of Warcraft. They never do this. And you're going to go back to one of the classics, one of the classic ones from back in the day with like 6 or 7 bosses and like 5 mini bosses that are thrown in there too. This is one of the first raids they ever put out there, and it's absolutely ginormous. And now you're going to be able to time walk it, and it's going to be available in LFR, normal, and heroic. That's insane. That's insane. Dungeons as well. You can see it right here. Dead Mines. Such a good freaking dungeon. It's coming back. It's absolutely fantastic. Stratholme, living and dead versions. You're going to get both of them. They're just bringing back so much content they took out of the game for this incredible celebration. We'll skip through the PvP stuff. No one really cares about it. New world bosses. They are going to be dropping the same mounts that they used to. So all this old content that maybe if you were a newer player to the game within the past 10 years, content you don't have access to, you now have access to get. These tier 2 rewards are updated, high quality versions of the OG tier 2 set. So they're not like blurry, they're not pixelated, they're sharp 21st century images. And here they are right here on your screen right now. They are freaking absolutely gorgeous. The Paladin is right smack dab in the middle. That tier set is freaking iconic. And then on top of it, if your class wasn't around during Vanilla WoW or during Burning Crusade, well, guess what they did for you? They created your own custom set based upon NPCs from that era to make you look like a badass.
Oh.
So freaking good. So skip through it, right? So, like, here you go.
That Pandaren one. Whew.
Did you miss out on getting the World Breaker mount that looks like Deathwing? That was the anniversary gift 5 years ago. Guess what? You can get it again at the 20th anniversary. Look at that. It's so good. All these different pets you can get if you're into pet battling. All these different Warcraft 3 themed backplating for your characters. If you ever played Warcraft 3, such a good game. Play it if you will. The remaster version's not that great though. But it's so good, right? So you have all these different dailies you can play. Collect all the tokens, get all these cool things, check out the class updates. But then on top of all of that, right? What a better time to jump into this, because you can play most of this content without even having to own the War Within. You do not have to have the War Within to play 90% of what you saw on the screen during this little pedestal that I'm on right real quick. Now, that being said, anything that is max level content, you will have to have with a War Within. But I'm going to tell you what, if you get to that point where you're almost max level, it is going to be worth getting the War Within. Even just the base game, which is like $30-$40, right? So right now, they've introduced war bands. You can have up to 25% leveling if your war bands are all at level 80, right? So let's go ahead and say You have 4 players at level 80. That's 25%. Now,
what is max level nowadays? Is it 80?
80
or 100?
80.
Okay, 80.
So you're at 25%, right? So the anniversary buff gives you an extra 10. So now we're at 35. And then you're going to get the blessing of the bronze dragonflight from your dailies. That's another 10. We're now at 45. And then you get the sign of the past from the bonus event classic time walking. If you choose to do questing instead of just doing straight up dungeons, class reputation gains 50% more. So you can double the times it takes for you to build your rep up with other factions and everything else too. You are going to be trucking through leveling. You'll be able to literally ding your way through a dungeon or ding your way through questing just with so much freaking XP. Taking down one boss is going to level you up. It's that crazy. So yeah, it's absolutely insane. And Joey, did I mention this is a 10-week extravaganza? October 22nd through January 6th is the celebration. That is absolutely wild. Absolutely freaking wild. 10 freaking weeks of bonus XP, getting all this old gear and content, getting access to all these really, really cool story pieces that are no longer in the game, or being able to experience it in its original entity. So freaking cool. So freaking cool. If you cannot tell, I'm stupid excited for this. I made the comment in our Discord server, discord.me/OTN, that I'm not going to have a life. My social life is dead. Starting next week, Tuesday, do not call me after work. Do not bother me after work. I will be on my computer, and I will be getting everything I ever wanted back in the World of Warcraft, getting all these amazing mounts, all these amazing transmogs, experiencing all these cool and crazy things. I'm stoked. I'm happy. I'm thrilled. And if you think I'm absolutely stupid, you think I'm a gigantic nerd, again, discord.me/OTN. Tell it to my face, Discord style, and I'll fight you in there as well.
Wow, aggressive. I like it. Yeah, this is a long. I thought this was like a 2-week event. I didn't realize they're packing over 2 months worth of content into this. Tons of wave for XP games. And I think that's also a big thing right now, right? Like WoW has seen such a resurgence in players with Dragonflight. Now the War Within, the graph continues to trend upward. It's looking really good. It's like one of those you should have bought a while ago stocks because it just keeps pumping. But this is a great time to buy in. If you want to get those new characters, if maybe you're a veteran and want to try a different character style, now seems like a great time to do that as well with the different XP gains, as well as the war camp bonding that John had mentioned earlier. So I don't know. I think there's just so many good things here between the old content, the XP gains, the promise. I think you said there were some weekly rotations in there as well, if I remember correctly, with the different continents. Yeah, I'm not even a WoW player, and I'm kind of excited for all the WoW players out there. I just feel like this is a load of content that almost came about unexpectedly. Like, I think players expect something for a 20th anniversary, but they don't expect 8 to 10 weeks worth of content for one.
No, and I think, look, I'm a Blizzard fanboy. I don't make any excuse to hide it. Blizzard in the past years have not exactly been the greatest. With the return of Chris Metzen and the announcement of the World Soul Saga, they have rejuvenated the Blizzard fandom. They have rejuvenated this community that grew up with Blizzard games. Again, like you heard me talk about StarCraft earlier in this episode. StarCraft was a defining franchise for me in my childhood. Wolfenstein with Rare was a defining moment in my childhood. Banjo-Kazooie, it was a defining moment in my childhood. There are definitely games that mark certain stages of your life as you continue. And after StarCraft, what came after StarCraft for me? World of Warcraft. And here I am still playing this damn game. Joey, story time. I had to reach out to Blizzard support because I screwed something up on my account. And the very first line after they greeted me was, we see that you have been playing World of Warcraft for 16 years.
Wow.
And we thank you. And I'm just like, don't remind me how long I've been playing this damn game. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not an original vanilla player. I am an End of Burning Crusades and Wrath of the Lich King player, though, which is the peak of World of Warcraft, and then continued on since then. But yes, that just goes to show you how long I've been on World of Warcraft, and you add on StarCraft and all the other stuff from Blizzard. Very, very big Blizzard fanboy. Very, very happy with the direction Blizzard is going. They're a very gamer-friendly approach right now is working for them, and they are reaping the benefits of it.
Yeah, it definitely seems like things are going the right direction. And with a big event like this, I think this is a great way for those veteran players to invite newer players into as well. So I only see that chart continuing to trend upward as we move into these 20th anniversary events. Next up, unfortunately, with all good news, there is a little bit of sad news. As always, with the gaming industry, it feels like nowadays, we do have some more layoffs coming in. Both of these sets from Riot Games and Bandai Namco. Riot Games came out with an announcement here. It was a post from Trendemir on X. Hey all, I want to share some important information about League of Legends PC. We've made changes to our teams and how we work to make sure we can keep improving the league experience now and for the long term. But I want to be clear, we're not slowing down work on the game you love. We're investing heavily in solving today's challenges faster while also building for the future. He goes on to state, as part of these changes, we've made the tough decision to eliminate some roles. This isn't about reducing headcount to save money. It's about making sure we have the right expertise so that League continues to be great for another 15 years and beyond. While team effectiveness is more important than team size, the League team will eventually be even larger than it is today. And as we develop the next phase of League of Legends, for riders who are laid off, we're supporting them with a severance package that includes a minimum of 6 months' pay, annual bonus, job placement assistance, healthcare, and more. We have full confidence. And then he goes on to list the rest of the leadership team of League of Legends and so on and so forth. It also sounds like their fighting game will either come out or go into early access in November as well. So a lot of movement on the Riot Games front, but super unfortunate. One of the more successful video game companies out there right now, in the ebb and flow of today's economy, even Riot Games being affected here. These layoffs coming out, affecting a number of riders as they continue to pivot League of Legends to be a game that can still stand in today's day and age the way it has previously. And again, I'm not going to say this game is not successful. It's still doing extremely well, but it has seen its ups and downs in recent years. And it's one of the things, right? You have a game that you've changed content by adding new characters and things like that, but you're not really changing a ton else. So now they're looking at ways to kind of freshen up the game. I believe Twisted Treeline, the old 3v3 map, might be making its way back. They're making some changes to some other game modes within the game and kind of offering a bit more variety than just what we have with the standard gameplay. So they are trying different things. Unfortunately, this one does result in some layoffs here. And John, I'm sure you have thoughts on the League of Legends layoffs as well. But unfortunately, it is a part of the industry that we're seeing more and more today. I can't think of a single big publisher or developer that has not had layoffs. It seems like every single one has at least had one wave, if not multiple waves, since COVID. And a lot of that is just the way these businesses worked, right? As people were locked at home, a lot of those people were playing more games. We saw purchases go up. We saw interactivity and activity time on consoles and PC go up. And with all that being said, then came in new hires. Teleworking was obviously much more preferred at that time. So there's a lot of hire working from a telework perspective. Now we have back to offices and relocations, and all of that is adding into this as well. And they are not making the overhead that they expected to during that COVID time when everyone was playing games at a more rapid rate or a more regular rate, rather. So I think layoffs, unfortunately, are going to be part of the industry. It doesn't make seeing any of these announcements any easier as we continue to come across them.
Did you mention the change to ARAM?
I did not. I know there's something coming, but I don't remember what it was.
They are changing the map on ARAM to the bridge that had the big battle scene back in Arcane. That's going to be the new ARAM map, which is really, really
sweet.
cool.
Okay. Is that limited time?
No, I think that's I think that's going forward.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because Howling Fjord just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it did feel kind of random. And I remember they had like the Volibear thing on there was kind of cool.
That was
cool.
Did that.
Yeah. So they've made some nice little iterations here and there.
So here's my thing with the layoffs, and I'll be very brief. you announce layoffs the same time you announce a $250 Jinx skin.
Mm.
Really? Like, and on top of it, some of the people that designed that skin and designed some of these rebrands and reskins in game were the ones
We're
that got
probably laid off.
laid
Yeah.
off. A $250 skin, like this is right up there with your $500 skin. Obviously, it's for a certain echelon of people. Riot is no stranger to those weird partnerships with luxury brands, where they charge an arm and a leg, your firstborn, and 2 kidneys, to even sniff it. It's a bad look. It's a bad look to lay people off, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, here's a $250 Jinx skin." Layoffs are bad, but like at the same time, it's like, okay, so you're laying people off for what reason? Oh, you don't have the same income coming in. You don't have the same money coming in. So you're gonna lay people off and then charge $250 for a skin. It looks bad. That's all I'm trying to say is it just looks bad.
It does. And, and I feel like this happens so often is the part that frustrates me.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the big skin sale, but it's after a big stock market announcement.
Yes.
Like, we have made this much money this quarter and we're excelling here and we expect more growth coming in this quarter. And we're also laying off 500 people. It's just that stuff is what really pisses me off. The skin is just kind of a new iteration of that, right? Like we're laying off people and now we're going to sell this thing for a crazy amount of money. Maybe they can spin it, John, to say we had to make more money so we can bring employees back later on. Who knows what they'll do? It's Riot, it's games, it's all of this is politics to some degree when it comes to business decisions. With that being said, people are being affected by this. As you said, people directly involved with this skin that was announced just shortly after these layoffs, which is kind of heartbreaking as well in its own way. But unfortunately, this is a thing that is happening across the industry right now. It's a correction that, unfortunately, I guess needs to be made if so many different companies are making it. At the same point, I think they should rethink some of the payments that are being made at the C-suite level. Some of those high-level executives and vice presidents are making some crazy money, and maybe some of that could be reallocated in some way. Obviously, that's above our pay grade, per se, to make these decisions. But I do think there are ways to reinvest and change things up here. And we're starting to see more and more developers kind of go that indie route and then look for funding from publishers, whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, Take-Two, whoever. And that might be the route we see more and more. It is risky to go indie. You don't have that guarantee. With services like Game Pass, with PlayStation Plus rather out there, it is a little bit easier to secure some of that funding early on. Other things like ID at Xbox, some of these other indie dev support kind of organizations or I guess programs per se, depending on where they fall, do help with some of that funding that we didn't necessarily have in those earlier days. So I think there are ways around it that support indies more. It still is a risky way, but it seems like more and more people are willing to take that risk to kind of not be at the hands of whoever could lay them off next week. Last but not least with these layoffs was Bandai Namco as well. They're reportedly reducing their workforce, canceling several titles, including games featuring the One Piece and Naruto licenses, as well as a contract project with Nintendo. We don't have full details on those, but they've reportedly moved 200 workers to such rooms, leading to almost 100 resignations. That is quite a few people leaving Bandai Namco, unfortunately. Bandai has been one of those ones that I don't feel like has done many layoffs. So this does come on the smaller side compared to a lot of what we've seen, especially from the American companies. With that being said, layoffs are layoffs. And unfortunately, at least around 100 people or so did lose their jobs here. Moving to a little bit more positive news and kind of linking in with what John was telling us about the new ARAM map, Arcane from League of Legends. Season 1, phenomenal. If you guys have not seen it, everything is off the charts in there. Story impactful, really cool art style and animation. You have great soundtrack. The show slapped. One of the best shows of the year, regardless if you like animated or not, regardless if you played League of Legends or not. It definitely falls into line with something you should put on your list to go check out. And it seems like Season 2 is going to be right down there. And from what I've heard, John, from early previews, I've heard that Season 2 completely blows Season 1 out of the water, which to me raises some crazy high expectations.
That says a lot.
But supposedly, this one is going to be even crazier. We'll see how it plays out. I know they kind of gave us some teasers at the end of Season 1 for the League of Legends players out there of maybe some champions that we could see coming to the series as we go forward. Additionally, I think they left the storyline in a great spot where they can really twist things up afterwards. So I am curious to see what they end up doing here when Season 2 drops November 9th.
Yeah, and on top of it, the soundtrack is insane. 21 Pilots, Imagine Dragons, and of course, the Linkin Park. An absolutely stacked soundtrack as well. Heavy as the Crown the World's anthem is going to be making an appearance in season 2 for Arcane as well. Joey, you telling me that season 2 is supposed to blow season 1 out of the water? It just blows.
That's
my
what I'm
mind.
hearing. I'm hearing some of the
That's
depth,
tough.
especially in season 2, is wildly strong.
Yeah, and that's insane because season 1 was so good. And again, like Joey, we're very critical when it comes to video game adaptations to streaming services or movies or TV shows or whatever it may be. And granted, there's not a lot to base stuff on, so like you really have to create your own story. You know, everyone involved with this absolutely crushed it. Kudos to Riot, kudos to Netflix, kudos to everyone behind the scenes. And I love the fact they're breaking it down to a 3-act
I forgot that.
breakdown.
Yeah, that's right.
So Act 1 coming out on the 9th of November, 16th for Act 2, 23rd for Act 3. I love it. You build suspense. You get people talking about it on social media, draw more people in. I'm stoked. I'm ready to go.
Do you remember how many episodes this is? I'm guessing probably 9.
You know what, Joey?
Does that sound right?
I'm gonna pull my
Arcane
Netflix
season
account
2?
up real quick.
I'm gonna pull it up over here as well. Let's see, Arcane season 2. I don't think it has an episode count on here.
So
Wikipedia, get your ish together.
Arcane season 1, if I can do this before the sound plays,
Dun-dun,
was
dun-dun.
9 episodes.
Okay, I'm thinking this is 9 too. I feel like 3, 3, and 3 would be a good little breakdown for those acts.
I'll be honest, stop being like Disney. Give me 12. Give me 15. Give me 50. I'm greedy.
How many episodes in Arcane season 2? Let's see what AI tells us. 9 episodes. Again, premiering November 9th, finale dropping November 23rd. You can check those out, all 3 episodes for all 3 acts over the course of November or whenever you log into Netflix. Very good show. Again, if you guys have not watched season 1, maybe you haven't watched it because you don't care about League of Legends. Well, I don't care about that opinion. I think you should just watch it regardless. I think when it comes to animated shows, it is one of the best animated shows out there, even if you have no idea what League of Legends is. It's just so phenomenally well done. It won a ton of awards, was nominated for even a ton more. It's just such a well-done show. Highly recommend. The other one we just want to touch on briefly here is God of War. Unfortunately, they are going back to the drawing board. A new report, this one coming from Insider Gaming, has stated that the God of War TV series will start from scratch following the departure of the show's executive producers. This originally came from Variety, who reported on it. The series showrunner and executive producer Rafe Judkins and executive producers Hawk Ostby and Mark Fergus have all departed the project. According to the report, several scripts were completed for the TV series direction, but ultimately Amazon and Sony decided they wanted the series to go in another direction. As a result, they have left. Cory Balrog, the creative director at Sony's Santa Monica studio under the PlayStation umbrella, has remained on board as an executive producer, as some of the other PlayStation staff have as well. But at least for now, it sounds like we are going back to the drawing board on this one, both story-wise, and I don't think actors have been tagged yet either in this one. So still very early on in development for that God of War TV series. Next up is an indie that caught both John and I's eyes. This is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. We got a new announcement here. There's a little bit of a trailer video we can play for you guys, but we also got a look at some new cast members. Andy Serkis coming in here as Renoir, Ben Starr, Charlie Cox, Jennifer English, Kirsty Ryder, and we have Shayla Nix wrapping it up there as Skyle. Some really good stuff here. Expedition 33 has looked phenomenal. It kind of takes like a full flow third-person perspective as you're traversing environments, but then it moves into turn-based for combat. The flow of the gameplay looks really cool. The biomes look phenomenal. The art direction, fantastic. It feels like this game is hitting everything from combat to gameplay to scenics to graphics. The sound design also phenomenal. And now apparently the English voice acting also top tier.
Yeah, I'm stoked for this one. The idea behind this game is incredible. Very unique, very different. I'm excited for this one. Studded cast also. It's so good. Yeah.
This game looks like it's going to slap.
It's going to be really, really good.
This one is coming to Steam, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and day one to Game Pass as well when it drops spring 2025. Next up on our list is NetEase announcing a new Marvel mobile game. Again, we're not going to touch on every mobile game that gets announced, but with it being Marvel, it could be a bigger one. Marvel Mystic Mayhem, a new team-based RPG. The teaser trailer we got really didn't give us too much. It does have a cool art style that we can glean from the trailer, but the actual gameplay, we don't really know what it means. Team-based RPG could mean turn-based. It could mean fluid flowing combat. It could mean, hey, come together with a few friends and slap yourself up against a Doctor Doom. I don't know what that means. But I do know you look cool doing it because the art style looks sexy. But overall, Marvel Mystic Mayhem, I feel like we have so many Marvel mobile games, John, at this point. I can think of like 5 or 6 just off the top of my head that I've at least downloaded at some point. Maybe I played them for a little bit. Maybe I played them for a lot of bit. But overall, none of them have really sucked long term for me. I'm curious what this one does in the end. I think the longest I've played one is probably Marvel Snap. I did play that for quite a while, though they did make me a little mad when they kept telling me guilds were coming out, and then like 2 years later, we finally get guilds, it feels like. But overall, some of the Marvel games land well, some not as well. But with that IP being as big as it is, you can almost guarantee this will have a lot of downloads at least on day one. Anything you want to say about Marvel Mystic Mayhem, good sir?
Nope.
Okay, nothing for Marvel. Last but not least in this section, then we'll just talk about some upcoming events and wrap up today's show. 33 Immortals. Guys, I think I've talked about this game on the show. I've definitely talked about it on Discord. I have played in, I'm just going to guess, about 50 to 60 different tests this year for insider testing, alpha testing, beta testing, whatever the case may be. Of all of those tests, I think this game is probably the one I've enjoyed the most. Don't know how much I can talk about it because there's NDAs and things. I think this one is pretty much fully available at this point, but just to play it safe, I'm not going to say much. I will tell you guys it is a ton of fun. I think this game is going to be phenomenal. It's 33 players coming together in co-op action, and you're kind of traversing your way through some, let's call it mythological areas. As you work your way through different bosses at the end, you're kind of taking on these like little mini bosses to level your character up. Eventually, all 33 players can ascend to the next level of the tier or the next floor of the dungeon, whatever you want to kind of look at it as. The combat is really cool. There's at least 4 classes playable from what they've shown in previews. I highly recommend this game. There's going to be playtests. There's more and more playtests, I feel like, always coming out. This one, unfortunately, delayed out of 2024 to 25, but I'm sure they will continue to do that playtesting, try to get involved in the playtesting. If you guys have played Hades, some of the gameplay feels similar to Hades. Think of like maybe Hades with 32 other players joining alongside you, and a little bit less of the roguelite aspects to trade in for some more combat. I don't know if I'd call it fluid combat because it feels like Hades, but not as much roguelite elements, kind of. I don't really want to get too much into details of it, but it's very cool. Very fun, very cool. 2025 is now its new release date. We don't have an official date within 2025. That's still to be announced based on how development goes, but highly, highly recommend putting that game on your radar. Upcoming events, October 23rd is Fallout Day. Fallout Day, I think this was a day before, but obviously much bigger with the IP bringing in so many people from the Amazon show. They have it here on their tweet. Tune in for a very special Fallout Day broadcast on October 23rd. Get a sneak peek of new content in Fallout 76 and catch some developer interviews. After the broadcast, celebrate with our friends Fallout for Hope for their community parade. So overall, if you guys want to check that out, that is going to benefit St. Jude's Children's Hospital as well. Always love stuff that benefits St. Jude's. I think that's a great organization and charity to give to, and we have usually done that in the past, and we've done gaming charity events as well. So definitely check this out if you're interested. Fallout Day, October 23rd. The stream itself kicks off at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. It should be some fun little announcements there for people who are fans of Fallout 76. And maybe we get lucky and get a little preview of the Amazon show for season 2. I don't know if they've done filming yet, but maybe we can get some interview stuff there from the devs at least. Last but not least, our free Epic Game of the Week. I changed this. I deleted the S because they only gave us one game last week. Go ahead and throw that S back into our notes this week because we have 2. You have until October 24th at 11 a.m. Eastern time to claim these ones. Cardboard Kings is the first game, a $19.99 value for free, as well as Invisible Presents Adam Eve, $9.99, now also free. So a good little about $30 value there you guys can claim for free, again, up until next Thursday, October 24th at 11 a.m. Eastern time if you're interested. If you're not a PC gamer but think you might be in the future, go ahead and make an Epic Games account if you don't have one already. log into your nice little mobile device or on your PC or whatever, your laptop, or wherever you want to get access to the internet. You can go onto the Epic website and claim these games as well. This goes for every single week, whatever game or games they release there for free. You can claim them right on your phone. You don't have to have the Epic launcher to do it. Go ahead and start building that PC library, even if you don't have a gaming PC yet. Never a reason to turn down free, in my humble opinion. So do that before October 24th for this next wave, or if you're not interested in these, wait for the next wave, which should drop on October 24th as well. John, I think that does it for today's show. Again, ran a little bit long here. There's a little bit more than I was expecting in this week's news, especially Xbox with the Asian stuff coming out from their kind of partners down in Southeast Asia, as well as the full-on partner preview that we had in today's showcase, the Indiana Jones previews, and so on and so forth. So lots of good stuff happening in gaming across all of the consoles as well as PC, and I think there's plenty to look forward to on mobile devices and beyond in the future as well.
All right. So, Joey, just to confirm, no show next week as IRL responsibilities have reared its head once again. After that, Joey, is technically Halloween. Are we looking at doing a show on Halloween? I know I'm not going out trick-or-treating because I'm an adult. I can't do that anymore. It's upsetting. I want candy. But they kind of look at you and be like, bro, be like, what's up? I don't pass it. I can't do that anymore. So,
my God.
What do you think, Joey? Halloween?
That'll be a TBD. I'll have to check in with the wife on that one. But it could be that way. If you guys want to stay tuned, you can probably do so on our social media, right, John?
Something about that. Nation, that's going to do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, make sure you follow the show on YouTube to catch the next episode of LvLUp Live. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, leave us a review. We would love to hear from you. The LvLUp podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and your podcatcher of choice. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from our community so much. There are multiple ways you can reach out to us. Joey, what are some of those ways?
Absolutely, guys. Head over to X and Facebook and find us at OTN Media. You can also follow us on Instagram and Threads at OTN_media. Discord, join the conversation, discord.me/OTN. And last but not least, give us a follow, hit that subscribe button, do all that good YouTube stuff over here on YouTube. Our channel name is OTN Media.
All right. Make sure you tune into our social media to find out when our next episode is going to be. And when we do announce that, we look forward to covering the latest and greatest in gaming news. As always, do your ears a favor. Hit that sub, follow, subscribe, tickle the bell, or whatever you got to do to know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your entertainment pleasures. We'll catch you all the next time we figure out our schedule. Enjoy your weekend, and remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online. And as always, level up.